The man was her partner, her boyfriend. A cold wave of realization hit Hyunyup. She might have just accused the wrong person, made a huge mistake. Realizing her error, she decided to hang up the call. But one nagging question still bounced around in her mind, like a ping-pong ball. Why did the man only have that S-line connected to Hee-won after they met? As if it was their very first time interacting. This unsettling incident, so close to home, only served to trigger her past trauma, stirring up old, painful memories. The next day, still reeling from the brutal beating she'd endured at the hands of Hee-young and her relentless gang, Se-won made the conscious decision to skip school altogether. Hee-young, however, being the quintessential bully, immediately jumped to conclusions, thinking that Se-yeon was deliberately avoiding school because she hadn't coughed up the promised. So, with a cruel smirk, Hee-young went straight for Se-yeon's locker, prying it open with malicious intent, hoping to find some hidden cash or something to hold over her head. Inside, to her surprise, she found a simple paper bag containing a Byung Cheole and tucked innocently within a love letter. On the other hand, Ji-wook returned home that day, only to find Se-yeon's absence from school quite perplexing. She asked him for some money, and it was then, in that moment, that he finally noticed the telltale bruises marring her face and all over her body. A red flag immediately went up. Smelling a rat, he pressed her, asking what in the world had happened. But Se-yeon stubbornly said, refused to spill the beans, opting instead to lock herself away in a room, keeping her painful secret bottled up. Soon after, as Ji-wook took a drag from his cigarette, his phone buzzed. It was Dong-sik, his colleague on the line, delivering some interesting news. Someone had called the police regarding the helmeted man. Dong-sik highlighted a crucial detail. The fact that the perpetrator might be the helmeted man hadn't yet been leaked to the public, meaning the caller seemed to know something and had some insider info. Dong-sik then revealed the caller was none other than Ji-wook's own neighbor and urged him to go check it out. Not one to let a hot lead go cold, Ji-wook immediately made his way to meet the caller, who turned out to be Hyun-hyup herself. He tried ringing her doorbell and knocking firmly on her door, but there was no response, despite Hyun-hyup actually standing, silent and unseen, right on the other side. Then, a man wearing glasses emerged from upstairs, and seeing Ji-wook's efforts, informed him that the girl in that apartment was a complete recluse and wouldn't come out no matter what. After the man left, Ji-wook, ever persistent, once again knocked on the door, but once again, silence. Just as he was ready to give up, Hyun-hyup finally, hesitantly, opened the door a crack. Ji-wook, not missing a beat, immediately grilled her about the call and what she knew. Hyun-hyup, flustered, revealed that she had indeed seen a helmeted man enter apartment 204 across the street, initially thinking he was the perpetrator of the latest murder case. But she quickly added she realized she had made a wrong accusation because the man was just the woman's boyfriend. When Ji-wook, sensing something was amiss, asked her why she was home alone, despite being a student, Hyun-hyup, flustered, quickly closed the door, cutting off the conversation. Later that evening, the same helmeted man was spotted once more, a looming presence in the twilight. But this time, he didn't head into the apartment building across the street. Instead, he made his way into the very building Hyun-hyup called home. Hyun-hyup, having noticed the man's approach, cautiously peeked through the hole in her door. Their eyes met for a fleeting moment, and the man seemed to notice her, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. Meanwhile, in another bustling part of the city, Se-yeon sat alone, a picture of quiet apprehension, seemingly waiting for someone. Her phone buzzed, and a message from Ha-young popped up, a harsh reminder demanding she come to school tomorrow with the money she owed her. As Se-yeon tucked her phone away, her gaze snagged on an old lady who had just emerged from a bank across the street, clutching an envelope, visibly bulging with cash. The desperate need for money, a gnawing ache in Se-yeon's gut. Se-yeon pushed her to the brink of doing the unthinkable. She began to tail the old lady, following her into a narrow alley, her intention crystal clear, to snatch the bag. But just as she was about to make her move, a group of men suddenly passed by, and Se-yeon, startled, quickly backed down, abandoning her plan. Then, at the very end of the alley, she spotted 3 familiar faces, 3 boys from her school, who also happened to be the boyfriends of her bullies. At the same time, Ji-wook and Dong-sik were catching a well-deserved break in their office, that his investigation had unearthed another suspect for the murder case. He discovered the victim had a boyfriend named Jungmin, a math teacher at the very school Ji-wook's niece, Seon-ae, attended. To top it off, Jungmin lived in the apartment building right across from Ji-wook's. Dong-sik concluded that the man's connection to the murder case seemed to be a sheer, bizarre coincidence. When Dong-sik showed Ji-wook a photo of the man they were discussing, Ji-wook's eyes widened in recognition. It was the same guy he'd spoken to the day he'd gone to Hyung-hyep's apartment. Sensing a potential lead that could break the case wide open, they decided to investigate. But before they could even get out the door, Ji-wook received a call and, explaining he'd catch up later, left Dong-sik to investigate the new lead all alone. As it turned out, Ji-wook's urgent call was from a hospital regarding his father. He rushed to the hospital, his heart pounding, desperate to know what had happened. Upon arrival, he was met with alarming news. His father was missing from his room, and the entire hospital staff seemed utterly bewildered, unable to find him. Unable to find him, Ji-wook, ignoring the bewildered nurse, had a gut feeling about where his father would be. He found him on the balcony, perched precariously on the fence, looking as if he was about to jump. In that terrifying split-second moment, Ji-wook seemed to freeze, a strange reluctance holding him still, watching as his father teetered on the edge. Fortunately, a team of nurses arrived just in the nick of time and managed to bring him down from the ledge. Meanwhile, Dong-sik had just arrived at the suspect's apartment. He pressed the doorbell, but there was no reply. He then tried the doorknob, and to his surprise, the door was unlocked. He cautiously stepped inside, finding the apartment eerily empty. He ventured further, discovering a room painted in a striking, unsettling red. Just as he was calling Ji-wook to relay his findings, the suspect, Jung-min, suddenly jumped him from behind with a heavy metal bat. Dong-sik bravely tried to defend himself, but as expected, he was no match for an armed assailant and was quickly overpowered. Ji-wook realized his colleague was in grave danger, immediately rushed to the scene. Shortly after, Dong-sik sat tied to a chair, helpless. The suspect, revealed to be Jung-min himself, had donned his helmet and gone to meet his girlfriend in the building across the street. Hyun-hyep, from her vantage point, recognized the looming danger and watched, her heart thumping, as Jung-min walked towards the neighboring building. She knew, with a certainty that chilled her to the bone, that things were about to go south for Hee-won. Knowing she couldn't just rely on calling the police, she decided to take matters into her own trembling hands. She grabbed a kitchen knife and stepped out of her room. Feeling a profound reluctance, yet forcing herself forward, she walked down the stairs, each step a tremor, haunted by thoughts of imminent danger and the deep scars of her past trauma. As soon as she stepped outside the building, her feet finally gave way. Her vision blurred, then went completely dark, and she fainted. Her sunglasses, which she used to shield her eyes from the S-lines, slipped from her face. In her faint, a hazy vision of her mother appeared, and Hyun-hyep instinctively reached out to her. Jung-min finally met Hee-won, and she seemed utterly surprised to see him. It was then revealed that Jung-min too possessed the ability to see the S-line, and he had witnessed for himself the unsettling truth. His girlfriend had a multitude of S-lines on her, unequivocally revealing that she had been intimate with many men besides him. This revelation, a punch to the gut, was his breaking point. Enraged, he attacked her, his hands closing around her throat, fully intending to end